Welcome to The Culture Docent with Dr. Carr, where real stories spark real change. Together, we'll break down culture, leadership, and inclusion and rebuild them into something transformative. This is where conversations become movements. This is the culture.
Hey, y'all. This is Dr. Carr, the culture docent, here to help you navigate and curate the experiences you want to have. So, last week I shared with you how self love is integral to expanding your leadership practice. What you don't know is the KMOB 1003 team actually had a little snafu with our recording, but the Riverside FM team swooped in. So, shout out to Riverside FM. If you're doing your own podcast or thinking about starting one, go to their platform right after you listen to this episode and sign up. All right. I talked last week about you needing to take care of yourself in order to best support your teammates, your colleagues, your organization overall. And one of my other recommendations was, of course, to hire a coach. Once again, ChatGPT does not count at all. AI coaches do not count. But in that recommendation, I also briefly noted some of the differences between mentors, sponsors, and coaches. And so today I want to actually delve deeper into mentorship because it's extremely important to me. In this episode called Mentorship for the People, I'm explaining what mentorship is, my mentorship philosophy, and some ways that you can go about finding mentors. This conversation is actually only focused on mentees. I'm going to do a part 2 of this where I go into detail about being a mentor, but there's just so much that goes into the mentor-mentee relationship that it's way too long for one episode to discuss. So you get a two-parter with me. But, what is mentorship really, right? We've all, likely heard that you need one or two, but you don't really know how, what they're supposed to do, how you're supposed to find one, right? Like why would you need a mentor for real? And so actually in doing my research for this episode, I learned that the word mentor comes from the character Mentor in Homer's Odyssey. So when Odysseus, king of Ithaca, went off to fight in the Trojan War, he asked his trusted friend Mentor to advise and teach his son. So I love etymology. I love figuring out where things come from. That's the nerd in me. But, you know, by definition, right? Like that was something where we're talking about advisor, the teacher relationship. Mentoring can, it's about the relationship where you're emphasizing helping individuals grow and accomplishing goals. So mentoring, just like most of the topics that I talk about on here, they span across contexts, regardless of what kind of professional or professional career path that you have, what industry you're in, right? Everyone can benefit from a mentor, from children all the way up into our older years. Mentorship is going to be providing that role modeling, psychosocial support. And those relationships are always going to be reciprocal, right? They're personal and reciprocal. And I'm going to put heavy on the reciprocal, and we're going to talk a little bit about why. But again, it's like, why do you actually need one? So my personal mentorship philosophy has really evolved over time, but some of the foundational elements are the same, and there's kind of two parts. It's going to be twofold. So number one, you need a mentor to educate, evaluate, and challenge your thinking in order to just really grow as a professional and an individual. And number two, you need more than one mentor. You do. One is not going to be enough. I'm going to let you know why. So, my mentorship journey actually started way back in elementary school. I was in this peer mentorship program where we were assigned, to another student either in our same grade level but in a different class, or a couple grade levels below us. But really, we were there to help each other navigate the elementary school space. And that seems kind of crazy, but at the time, if I remember correctly, it was mostly about conflict resolution, which feels pretty appropriate for, that age group, 5th grade, 4th grade, what have you. But it was, that was like my kind of first entry point into mentorship. And my placing value on that just continued to grow, even when I didn't realize it. So I've had, many, many mentors throughout the course of my life. I remember my first mentor, who I still speak to today, but I'm actually going to fast forward to a specific point in my life and in my career where I felt like, I was thinking about my career strategy. I was really trying to submit myself. And it, for me, is like that pinnacle point where I'm like, no, mentorship is crucial. I need to be very intentional about this process and figuring out, who is going to be my mentor? How am I going to sustain those relationships? And it just really solidified at this time when I was working in the federal government. I think there was like some formal mentorship programs that were offered. Honestly can't remember at that specific time, but I wanted to build that relationship on my own. Like the program was cool if it existed. Again, I really don't remember, but me being the person that I am, I wanted to like find a mentor on my own and start to create that relationship on my own. And so I actually sought out someone that I had heard speak a couple times. We had different panels and things like that, different all hands, and she spoke a few times. And then people were always talking about how great of a person she is, how great of an analyst she was, and just all of these things. So I'm like, yep, I want to talk to her, right? I got on her calendar and uh, first meeting, mind blown. Like she was exceptional. She completely changed the way that I looked around, like trying to find mentors, what that relationship should look like. Started building my own philosophy around it and why that relationship is important. And so, shout out to Arlene. I still love you, Arlene. We are also still connected, but she was my big boss mentor. That's why I like to think of her as my big boss mentor because she then shared her network with me. She recommended other people that she had mentored or were connected with. And then that really just like started me on my journey to like connecting with some of those people. I mean, some of them I still speak with, some of them I don't. Like we lost touch just because I moved from that agency. Sometimes your mentors, like you graduate from your mentor relationship, just like you do in therapy. That doesn't mean that they don't hold value in your life or that they weren't valuable, excuse me, at that particular time. But, your journey is starting to evolve and they may not be a part of that journey. And then there are some that actually will evolve, your role evolves and your relationship with that mentor evolves as well. And so it's just really, reasons, seasons, lifetimes. I talk about that a lot in my personal life. Like people are there for reasons, seasons, and sometimes lifetimes. And your mentors are no exception to this role. And so your mentor, again, is here to advise and share their career knowledge with you. And I was able to receive so many interesting experiences and opportunities and ask so many great questions and receive a lot of great insight because of this expanded mentor network. And that is going to lead me into the second part of kind of my philosophy is that you need more than one mentor. Let me tell you why. You will not always have immediate access to those people. Okay. They're likely your mentor because, they've achieved something. They're on their way to achieving something. They are doing all of the things that you hope to do, which means that they're going to be busy as hell. You are also busy, right? Like you also have a bunch of things going on. You're trying to achieve goals as well. You're trying to balance family and work-life harmony and all of those different activities, responsibilities, obligations that you have going on. And so sometimes schedules just aren't going to align. I don't want you to take that personally. Do not take that personally if they can't meet with you every week or bi-weekly or even every month. And that was what your goal was, that you wanted to meet with them pretty often. It's not personal. I'm sure that they would love to spend more time with you and share their experiences and insights with you, but sometimes that's just not realistic, right? So the more mentors that you have allows you to have not only more access, but also just more insights, which brings me to, kind of the makeup of your mentors. Because again, you should have more than one. I'm going to say that you actually need three at the least. Three sounds like this crazy big number, but it's not. It's really not. I have definitely had more than three mentors at once, and it was exactly what I needed. But I'm going to say at the minimum, you need three. So one of those people needs to be basically everything that you want to be when you grow up, right? They need to reflect some aspect of your goals or the things that you would like to accomplish in your life. So If you are wanting to at some point own your own fleet of delivery trucks, your mentor needs to either have managed and or own their own fleet of delivery trucks, right? Like they need to have that experience to be able to share those insights with you about the specific challenges and things they may have faced in building out that enterprise for themselves. And as a note, as you're getting mentor, and I mentioned this before around kind of coaching, this could be aspirational. So just because you don't own the fleet right now, you're trying to get there, you're trying to get on that path work or that pathway, your mentor is going to be able to help you get there. And so they're going to be able to say like, oh, this is what I did to buy my first truck. This is what I did to get my CDL, right? Like because they've gone through it, they'll be able to tell you how to do it. And that is going to be extremely important for you. So it's okay to be aspirational. It's okay to have a mentor that is not quite aligned with what you may be doing now, but you do want someone who is like, again, everything that you wanted to be when you grow up, right? Like that is the person that you're going to want to seek out for at least one of your mentors. One of your mentors should be a different gender than you. I don't care what you say. One of your mentors needs to be a different gender than you. If you identify as male, one of your mentors needs to be identify as female, gender non-binary, gender non-conforming. It doesn't matter. As long as they do not also identify as male, one of them, at least one of them needs to be a different gender. Why? Because they have experienced life in completely different circumstances than you, right? They have walked in completely different shoes than you in a lot of regards, right? Because of how they identify, the challenges that may have faced, the experiences that they've had are just inherently different. And you need that diversity of perspective, right? It's not just the empathy, because of course we all want to lead with empathy, but it's not just for that. It is because that diversity of experience is going to make you a better leader. It is. It's a fact, right? Like, and we could go into the research about inclusion. Y'all know I love talking about inclusive leadership, but it is going to be that diversity that I really want you to seek out. And a very easy way to do that is to have someone on your team, as I like to refer to them, my board of advisors, that's on your team that is going to have a different perspective, because you want your mentor to be able to challenge your own thoughts and your own approaches and your own perspectives in the best way possible, right? And then you do need to have a mentor that is going to be not quite in your, in your lane, in your professional lane, not directly. It could be like indirectly. So example, if you are an executive assistant in a dental office, for example, you want to seek out a mentor that maybe has a little bit more tenure than you, that is an executive assistant in a law firm or in a medical office, in a car dealership, just something, a consulting firm, it doesn't matter, but something a little bit different for the very same reasons that I mentioned before. So offering you a different perspective, allowing you to see, get kind of creative with your own problem solving, allowing you to innovate a little bit more. We talk about imagination a lot. Hearing perspectives from someone who works in maybe a similar field, but not quite the same as you, not exactly the same as you, get your creative juices flowing, because you may want to try an approach because you feel like there are enough similarities that you can translate what they've shared with you into your own, team dynamics and your own organization, and your own industry. So having someone that is where you want to be, having someone that's a different gender, identifies as a different gender than you, and then having someone that's not directly in your specific line of work. And this is going to be a little controversial, but I personally do not recommend having a mentor that is like your direct supervisor. I know that can feel like almost counterintuitive, because if you're working in a role that you really, really enjoy and you want to excel and you see yourself, maybe eventually like leading that company or something like that, and that person is the current CEO or the current VP or whomever, right, is your direct supervisor or your direct manager, it kind of seems like a natural fit, but I would caution against that, just because that person is going to have insight into your performance. And what we don't want is for them to have to like you not have to put extra boundaries around this relationship that you probably wouldn't have to do if they were not in your direct performance kind of loop and able to provide that feedback. You don't want that. I mean, you can do what you want, but I'm telling you right now, Dr. Carr said, get somebody else, right? Maybe just kind of put them in your back pocket and recognize that, hey, if you move to a different team or move, if they're no longer your direct supervisor for whatever reason, then that's something absolutely. Please circle back to that relationship and let them know, like, hey, I would love for you to be my mentor, but you just don't want to introduce unnecessary biases or put them in a position where they feel like they have to draw boundaries, hardline boundaries with you because they're now serving in two different capacities within your life and your professional life. So just that is my thought. But again, y'all are adults, so do what you feel is best. Right. So going out and finding a mentor does not have to be super difficult. Use what means you have available. So social media obviously is there. I'm always going to encourage you to shoot your shot, but I don't want you to be discouraged if, Asia Wilson doesn't respond to your DM about becoming your mentor, right? Like, I mean, do you know Asia? If you don't, like, you can shoot your shot. I mean, let them tell you no, but it's probably going to go unanswered because, there isn't an existing type of relationship there or a clear connect the dots of why you would want her to be your mentor. And this requires you to get very intentional about why you specifically need a mentor. Like, what are the areas that you want to be challenged in? What are some of the areas where you could receive additional insights as it relates to, your professional goals, right? Like, that is where you're going to want to challenge what are some of those ideal characteristics in a mentor that you're looking for, and that can help you create a profile of who you're looking for. And so, shoot that DM to the amazing speaker that you saw at a conference. You exchange card information, reach out to them, someone that you heard that spoke at a training that you had to attend, and you're like, wow, everything they said really resonates with me. I really want to know more about their career, how they arrived at this spot. Absolutely reach out to those people. Those are there's a clear connection into why you would want to have that mentor-mentee relationship. And it is just it again, I don't want you to overthink it. I want you to think of people that are in your network. If there's someone that you work with, it could be a colleague, because there is definitely value in having peer mentors, but it could be someone that's not on your direct team, but just someone that you have encountered that spoke on an all hands or a town hall, and you're just like, wow, I want to talk to them, right? Or other people that have, they recommend them. Someone that has a mentor and they're like, wow, my mentor is so great. Maybe ask around, ask your friends if they have mentors, ask your colleagues if they have mentors, ask them what they like about them. If there's someone that they can recommend, do not overthink it. It's really easy to find what you're looking for, but it's going to start with you and making sure that you are intentional, again, about your whys, your specific whys, and some of those traits that you're looking for. And then, reach out, set up that meeting, and understand that not every single time you have one of those mentor calls or just go in to speak to someone about potentially being your mentor that you come out successful, in that you come out of that meeting with a mentor. There are going to be a variety of reasons why that may not happen. That person may not have the capacity right now. They're trying to go up for a promotion. They're moving. They're doing a career change, whatever, right? Like, they may have things going on where they don't have the capacity to take you on. Continue to have that relationship and maintain that relationship the best that you can, but recognize that it may not be mentor mentee at this moment. You may also go into a conversation with someone who you're like, wow, I was wowed at that, and just in disbelief at how good that conference, that keynote speak that they gave. And you get into a conversation with them and you're like, literally never want to speak to this person again. Right? Like, that has happened to me more than once, where I went into that conversation, I was prepared and I just knew that they were going to be my mentor. And I was just like, you know what? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do not want this person in my sphere for a variety of reasons. They didn't listen to me when I was explaining what my goals were. It didn't feel just like a good fit, and that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. You're not going to hit it off, with every person. Sometimes those conversations are more of a networking opportunity, more like an informational interview. We love a coffee chat, right? You had that one conversation, you took some gems from that, some little nuggets that help you. And then that's kind of it, right? Or they tell you someone else you should connect with, and that's it. You just leave them right where they are. That is completely fine to have. So, my last point is whether it's your first meet or your 10th, you need to bring something to the table. It is up to the mentee to drive the conversation. Do not come to this conversation empty handed. I'm telling you right now, do not come to the conversation empty handed. You need to prepare an agenda. You can share the agenda. Share it. I love when people share it, when my mentees share an agenda with me so that I can actually be more prepared for the conversation. If they're like, hey, I really want to talk about this next promotion cycle. I'm gonna be promoted in 2 years. I'm just wondering about some of the experience I should have. Absolutely. I can come prepared with resources and people for them to talk to and all that good stuff. But I want to know ahead of time. And I know that my mentors have always appreciated that from me. So please prepare an agenda, come ready to talk about something. Do not come in there blank face and expecting your mentor to drive the conversation because that's not how this works. I also want you to be mindful of time. Everyone is busy. And I really don't like when people are like, oh, they're an executive, they're busier than me. Everybody has something going on. You're busy too. Just because you're not at their level doesn't mean that you're less busy. Like you have things going on in your life as well. You need to be mindful of your time, respectful of their time, right? So if you come with that agenda, you already know what's going to be talked about. If you need to rework your agenda to make sure that you cover some of those high points, you know that you want to discuss those things, do that. Reframe the conversation. You are there to drive the conversation as the mentee. And lastly, offer your assistance. Like, don't think because your mentor has reached this certain level or status that you don't have anything to offer. It could be a connection, like they're looking to get into a certain area of business and you know someone in that area of business, like you are able to make a virtual introduction. If they need you to, they're like, hey, I actually need someone to sit on a panel for me or work the booth at this conference along with the recruiters. Like, yes, you can do that. Raise your hand, offer your assistance, offer to be able to support them in those ways. And, honestly, it could actually be mentoring someone else. There is really no greater honor than graduating in your mentorship, where your mentor now recommends you as a mentor to others. Like, what a privilege, right? So, you know that you have something to offer. Please just show up prepared, be engaged, and be ready to just really drive the conversations and drive the relationship in a way that is most impactful because, again, it should be mutually beneficial. It is not one sided. Mentorship doesn't work that way. It has to be something that is reciprocal. All right, y'all. We have reached carte blanche, and today I'm giving you a few of my mentor meeting questions that I like to use. You probably heard me kind of hinting to them throughout the conversation, but these have always helped me learn more about the potential mentor. And I just love hearing, the different stories, how people have arrived to where they've gone. And I'm always able to take something away when I ask these questions. So, number one, I would say, what do you hope to achieve in the next 6 months? This question really gives a little insight into, their personal and professional goal setting kind of methodology and approach. And that is something that you can always take away and say, like, oh, I love the way that they set that up. I want to do something similar, right? And also continues to spur conversation, and you can delve in it and just learn a little bit of more about them. Number two, I ask is, what books, resources, or experiences do you recommend I seek out? So I always relate this back to my own goals. At some point, you should have shared, right? What are you trying to achieve? Please make sure that you are sharing that with your mentor so that you can set expectations. But, relating those resources or their experiences to what you're trying to achieve will help them understand like how they can best support you and how they can make recommendations that are in alignment with what you're trying to achieve ultimately. Number three, who in your network do you recommend I also speak with? So I love this question because it provides you with more resources and more potential mentors, right? Like you want a lot of insights. I'm an information gatherer. That's a part of my thing. So having different perspectives is always welcome for me. And so if my mentor that I'm like, yes, I want this person to be my mentor, or, we've had an existing relationship, always checking in and say like, who is someone else I could talk to about this particular area? Again, just another way to get some insights that are very helpful for you as you're trying to accomplish your goals. And bonus question, because y'all know I love a bonus question. I always ask, I would love to keep the conversation going with regular check-ins. How should I schedule additional time with you? So if you want to keep them as your mentor, or if you're looking for a way to really establish and be clear that like, hey, I want you to be my mentor and I want to continue having these conversations with you, like take the lead on building the relationship. It's going to demonstrate your commitment. Ask them, should they schedule it with you, what their frequency would like to be, maybe it's monthly, maybe it's quarterly, right? And respecting their time as much as you respect your own. So, but just asking and taking that ownership of that relationship is going to go a long way in clarifying what it is that you hope to gain out of this mentor-mentee relationship. All right. And Finn. Okay. So I want y'all to stay tuned for part 2 of this conversation. I'm going to dig deep into being a mentor, right? We talked all about being a mentee. I'm going to talk about being a mentor, including why you should be one, how you can do it well, because not everybody is a good one, but we're talking about how you can do that well, and why mentorship truly is integral in shaping and enhancing and cultivating an organization's culture. All right. So this was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday for more empowering conversations that lead to empowered experiences. Bye, y'all.
We'll be back next Tuesday. Don't miss it. Questions or comments? Email tcd@blkinstitute.com.